welcome. Um, so on to the show. So what are we here for? We have a special show today. First of all, we have a lot of representatives in the insurance space. The insurance industry is obviously a large, multi-billion-dollar industry, one of the most important industries in the United States. So we thought it'd be interesting to have a show specifically related to insurance. So we have somebody that's going to be representing the health insurance side. We have somebody else that's going to be talking about personal insurance. And we also have somebody that's going to be talking about life insurance. So it's a very, very interesting show. In BNI, we call that basically a power group, power team, power circle. These are professionals and businesses that can work together. So you might have an agency that doesn't do health insurance, so they could certainly provide a lot of different leads for the health insurance person, and vice versa. The health insurance person probably doesn't do auto insurance, and so they have somebody that they can send their business to. And that's what it's all about, optimizing business opportunities for all of our members so that we can all grow together. So let's, without any further ado, I'm going to welcome our first member. His name is Lance Bryden. Hopefully I got that right. Bryden?
Breeden.
Breeden.
Yes,
okay.
sir.
So Lance Breeden, he represents U.S. Health Advisors. We were just talking a minute ago how U.S. Health Advisors as a company is very, very, very pro BNI. There are a lot of different U.S. Health Advisor reps within the different BNI chapters, particularly here in Houston. And so welcome, Lance. How's everything going today?
It's going great, going great. Been busy with open enrollment. So
well, now open enrollment has pretty much been expanded significantly because of what's been going on, of course. Mm-hmm. So I guess let's just jump right into it. So what is it that has changed open enrollment recently, and why is it that we're able to continue to do that right now versus, in the past, I think it was limited to, I think a month or a month and a half.
Yeah, November, December is what it usually has been. And President Biden has come in and he's extended it all the way to August.
Okay.
So it just gives people opportunities, I guess, to kind of streamline and find coverage that works best for them. When you have open enrollment, you scramble around trying to find a health insurance plan for your family. And once you get on it and use it, you may find out that you don't want that plan, and you're kind of stuck for the whole year. Okay. Until open enrollment comes around. So I think it has some good things that, for being open enrollment extended. I'm not really sure how it benefits or takes away from health insurance, just that people are looking.
Okay, well, that's a positive thing, right?
It is a positive thing. You just got to fit people with the right coverage for their needs.
Okay.
And once you satisfy that, then you have longevity of your clients, basically.
So does open enrollment really apply specifically? So I know you represent U.S. Health Advisors. As I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, U.S. Health Advisors is a private company, right? And for U.S. Health Advisors, you can enroll somebody in a health insurance plan pretty much year long?
Well, that's the private industry.
Okay.
Private health insurance is not limited to the guidelines that the ACA marketplace is limited to.
ACA, Obamacare,
right.
American,
right.
Was it American, what does the C stand for? American Care Act?
The Affordable Care
Affordable
Act.
Care Act, that's what it is.
Yes. And so being private, we are able to do business all year round.
Okay,
so,
and that's a huge plus.
It is.
Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about what differentiates going through you as a health insurance specialist, going through U.S. Health Advisors, which is the company that you represent, versus doing something through the ACA or through another brokerage.
Just that we have access to private plans. The ACA marketplace does not. And I can help anybody look for anything, whether it's private health insurance, because that fits a certain niche, or whether it's an ACA plan. I can help people look for
either way
for the best thing for them. Not every shoe fits every foot. And so depending on the financial needs or the health conditions and health needs, it will depend on what kind of plan that is the right plan for you. And I just help people walk through it. It is an incredible maze, a lot of confusion, a lot of people pulling their hair out, not knowing what to do and how to do it. And that's something that we can help clients with.
Well, deductibles, I remember in my particular case, I know deductibles have changed, like it's been night and day over the last really sort of 15 years. The deductibles now have just seemed to have gone up and up and up and up. And you can create somebody that's, you can do plans that are also specific to that, right? About the deductibles and co-pays. And
There's a lot of different plans, a lot of different deductibles, and depending on the client's needs and their situation, you can, some private plans are customizable. And so it just depends on what the needs is. What we do is we just sit down with the client and we go over what do you need, even what does your finances look like, what can you afford, what's the mark that you need to be within,
the network, also the doctors, maybe they've got a doctor that they want to continue to see, a family doctor that's been doing their taking care of them for years and years,
and
they're
that's
not always
everything
on the same networks.
That's all the information that we gather up when we sit and talk to people. When I sit and talk with somebody, I want to know, what doctors do you see, what doctors do you want to keep, what are places that you want to go if something happens to you, and just find out as much information as I can, because that way I can go and find plans and just show them the options, what's available to them.
Now I know that about a little over a while back they took out the penalty, right? I mean, at some point you were required to have insurance. If not, they would assess a penalty. Now that penalty is no longer there, although you are supposed to have insurance nonetheless. Now we have a change in administration fairly recently. Do you foresee any kind of additional changes going on with basically what is the ACA framework and health insurance?
There is no telling. Yes, I'm sure it'll be changing. But we did, our company, we did very well before the mandate penalty was zeroed out, and we continue to do well. And so I don't look at it as much as a barrier as people think it is.
Okay.
So.
And what about, on the other hand, also, so why do you think you did better, even though they took away that mandate? Because you would think, you would think logically that it would be the opposite, right? If people are forced to do it, then you should have more business.
Well, if the private side plans fits people's needs better, then it fits people's needs better.
Gotcha.
And so and a lot of plans were pretty competitive in cost, and so even with paying a penalty, a lot of people feel that it's worth the extra headache, if you will, and with the cost difference on some plans, there's even room to move, to wiggle, basically.
Okay, and what about what's happened over the last year? Obviously, March last year, we started to see the initial effects of the pandemic, shutdowns, obviously everybody very concerned with their health, and the guidelines that we've all had to live with for the last year or plus. How has that affected the whole industry?
A lot more interest in health insurance all of a sudden.
Right.
So, we've had a lot of more people evaluating the plans that they do have, wanting to see, what is a better option for them. It's like, you don't get insurance for your car, to replace your tires or your battery. You get it for the big accidents.
Right.
And so, with the pandemic, people are thinking long term. They're thinking down the road. They're thinking the big what ifs. And so they're really shopping, looking for the better coverage. And what's better going to protect my family, pandemic or not even. And so I think a lot of people are just eyeballing their current coverage right now, looking for better options.
Well, and not just that, there's also the cost, right? I mean, the reality is that the healthcare system in the United States is probably the most expensive one in the world, or among the most expensive ones in the world. From somewhere, I believe I've read multiple times that one of the main reasons for bankruptcy for U.S. families in many cases are medical emergencies where they don't have the proper insurance, or they just don't have anything in place to try to mitigate those expenses. Have you seen anything change as far as the costs in the medical field, over the last couple of years? Well,
the costs keep going up. And so that in turn is why health insurance keeps going up. I mean, health insurance is an investment. You have to look at it as an investment because the costs just keep going up. And so people want the bang for the buck. And, if you can provide a plan that'll give them a bang for the buck, then that's what they're looking for as well.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about your chapter. We have a couple of minutes left, so I want to give a shout out to BNI Katy. You're a BNI Katy member. How long have you been a member there?
Almost 3 years.
Okay. And what's been your experience in BNI in general?
Oh, I just, the friendships that you develop are just amazing. And you learn that BNI does a good job of vetting companies. If you get somebody in your BNI chapter that's just not working out well, they tend to kind of fall out. And so the people that stay in the chapter are the cream of the crop. And so they're definitely, most people, you just without a doubt feel completely confident in referring business to them. Because, when you refer to somebody to a business, it's like your reputation's on the line as well.
Absolutely.
So
you're putting your name out there and you're giving somebody a stamp of approval, which is part of the reason why it works, why it's so effective as well. So 3 years, obviously you're a big believer in BNI.
I am.
If it weren't worth it, you wouldn't be renewing every
That's
year,
right.
right? So tell me, give me the most interesting referral you've received. We don't have that much time, but give me a little tidbit here on an interesting referral that you've gotten maybe over the last year or so.
Interesting referral is I had a PNC agent refer some clients that they already had. His in-laws were coming in from Russia.
Okay.
And they needed health insurance. And so working through, making sure that they have their proper documentation as far as, green cards and things like that, making sure that's in place. And also the issue of not having a medical history in the U.S. and having to work through that. So that was pretty challenging. I was able to sign policies on them, but it took a lot of footwork, and it was rewarding to be able to make sure that they're covered.
Absolutely.
Take care of them.
Plus helping, people that are coming into the system new that don't really know what it's all about.
Right. And being an extension of my referral partner's business, he's taking care of his clients because he referred them to me and I was able to take care of them. So in a sense, he's the one that took care of them.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
And then also don't want you to go here without telling people how they can reach you. So if you're looking for health insurance, where should they call? My
cell phone is always on me.
Okay.
And although people don't like to give their cell phone number out, that's the best way to get a hold of me. And it's 361-443-9589. And if I don't answer the phone, I do call back. So
fantastic.
Best way to reach me.
We really appreciate it, Lance. All the best to you,
Thank you.
This coming week. Hopefully, if, like I said, somebody's watching health insurance, we all need it. Give Lance a call. He'll take good care of you. And we look forward to seeing you again in the BNI world, okay?
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. We'll be back in just a minute with somebody else, whole different type of insurance. So stick with us.
COVID-19 transformed the way we do business. Now more than ever, fast lead generation and customer retention will determine if a business survives or not. The NowMedia Video Business Card is designed to be sent using your smartphone. It's the next generation business card that will open the door for you while keeping social distancing. The NowMedia Video Business Card is affordable for anyone from startups to multinational companies and is already being used by hundreds of businesses. Stay open, stay in business. Call us today.
Having a spotless house is critical for your quality of living. Hi, this is Kevin Thury with WashPros.us. At WashPros, we are locally owned and operated, servicing Central Houston, Austin, and Dallas. We are fully insured. We offer annual, semi-annual, and quarterly cleanings. We recognize that needs change and Mother Nature keeps us on our toes. Just know we are happy to help. We use eco-friendly products and a purified water cleaning system for a spotless shine. We service HOAs, the property managers, investment firms, and you, the homeowner. If you're putting your house on the market or have an annual maintenance cleaning schedule, or you are interested in holiday lighting, we are your one-stop shop for all of your exterior cleaning and holiday lighting needs. Call me today for your free on-site quote and let WashPros.us be your clean escape.
COVID-19 transformed the way we do business. Now more than ever, fast lead generation and customer retention will determine if a business survives or not. The NowMedia video business card is designed to be sent using your smartphone. It's the next generation business card that will open the door for you while keeping social distancing. The NowMedia video business card is affordable for anyone from startups to multinational companies and is already being used by hundreds of businesses. Stay open, stay in business. Call us today.
All right, welcome back. We're here live in the NowMedia TV studios. This is BNI Now. We have another BNI member with us. We're pleased to have with us Donnie Watson. Hey, Donnie, how are you?
I'm doing good. It's great to be here.
All right, it's great to have you here. Donnie is also within the insurance industry. Like as I said, you know, most of our guests today are insurance related. So it's sort of a, you know, smorgasbord of insurance topics. This one very near and dear to my heart, to be honest with you. One of my favorites or types or industries within the insurance industry, and that's life insurance. Okay, life insurance very different than everything else, and a lot of times life insurance tends to sometimes, frankly, get lost within all the different types of insurance that you need. Obviously, you know, you have a car. By law, you have to have auto insurance. You have a mortgage, you have to have your homeowner's insurance. You have a family, or you want to maintain a good level of health, then you have to have your health insurance. So life insurance is, in a way, a very unique type of insurance, in my opinion, and of course completely voluntary, but completely necessary. People need to have life insurance. So Donnie, first of all, tell us why you chose to go into that particular branch of insurance. Okay, why is it near and dear to your heart, and why does it, I assume you're passionate about it. This is what you do every day. So tell us a little bit of how you got into it.
Okay. So life insurance has always been near and dear to my heart, just because, as you stated, as one line of insurance, it always typically tends to get swept under the rug or just forgotten about. It's not
Right.
something that is forced. It's not something that we're made to do, but it's definitely one of the most important, for obvious reasons. It allows you to be able to protect your family. So unfortunately, in certain communities, life insurance is also something that is not taken advantage of in the fashion that it could and should be.
Okay.
And so I delve into it for the sake of educating communities and helping them to appreciate that, for one, it's not as expensive as they think it is, and for two, here are the benefits and the reasons why it's so beneficial.
Well, talk about it. So the expense of it, right? So let's talk a little bit about sort of the ideal client. When is the ideal time that you want to talk to somebody about life insurance? When they're, 60, when they're 20, when they're 30? What would be a good time for somebody to seriously start to consider and say, listen, I want to take advantage of this time because this is an ideal moment for me to get involved and start thinking about what kind of a plan I want long-term for life insurance?
Well, for me personally, my goal is to have that conversation with anybody immediately. I don't want to set a specific age limit to that, but I will say, based off of what it is you're looking to accomplish, then that has a bearing on the age. So when you think about being in your younger 20s or maybe in your early 30s where you're just starting to build a family, then it's really good to get into permanent policies and products that are on the market that will help you to save up for a nest egg. It would also help you to build for retirement and also help you to save money for college for your children and even a rainy day that you and the missus may need those funds. So that's always huge. But then when you think about our more seasoned and older individuals, then for them it's just more or less wanting to make sure their legacy is in place for their families and make sure, of course, their arrangements are taken care of. And so it really just depends on what the need is. But the great thing about life insurance is there's something for everybody to take advantage of.
So you mentioned permanent policies. So can you educate us about the difference between permanent versus non-permanent? What's the difference?
So the difference is it's either going to be considered a term policy or it's going to be considered a permanent policy. Term policies typically will cover you for about 10 years. You can usually do 15 years, a 20-year policy, a 25-year.
So it basically has a start date and it has an end date.
Correct.
Okay.
And so it's something that is really good. I'll give you an example. If a young couple buys a home and that home loan is for 30 years, then the breadwinner may do a term policy for 30 years to make sure if anything happens to him during that time frame, his wife doesn't have that pressure of trying to figure out how she's going to pay for the home.
She can pay off the house,
There
pay
you
off
go.
the mortgage, and that's
Right.
one less bill that she has to worry about
Right.
because, of course, you no longer have that income coming in, right?
Definitely. Definitely.
And then the permanents are basically what that means, right? They go on forever.
Right. For the duration of your life, typically it will mature at 100 years old. Sometimes, we may do 120, but obviously 100 years typically covers
Well,
it.
we had today, Prince Philip, right? Just passed
99.
99 years old. So
Yeah.
he's not going to have a problem with a life insurance policy, but he was close. What else? There's also, what about when you talk to somebody and they tell you, well, I get my life insurance through work. It's already paid for. I don't even have to worry about that.
Right. So that's a good thing. I mean, it's commendable to take advantage of those type of policies because usually those are discounted rates that you're able to get because you're getting them through the company.
Okay.
However, the fact of the matter is we always have to be prepared for what could happen. That's the purpose of insurance anyway. We're preparing for what may happen.
Right.
And so it's always a good idea to have a supplemental life policy outside of your employer. For obvious reasons, you may leave the employer.
Right.
The employer could have a mass layoff. However, you want to make sure you still have something in place that is going to cover you and benefit your family in the event that happens.
So if you had somebody working for a big company, let's say, and work in the oil and gas industry, they had their policy through oil and gas, they got laid off, and let's say, when they started, they were 15-year employees. So what's the drawback? I mean, when they get out, they lose their policy, right?
Exactly.
And then they have to find one 15 years later, they're 15 years older.
Exactly.
Which means that now it's a lot more expensive for them to be insured.
Right.
Okay, so it's a good idea for you to have your own policy as well, other than the one that you have through the work.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What about the situation that we've been dealing with? Of course, things seem to be improving. We have the vaccinations now happening, rolling across the United States. The economy is seeming to get a little bit back on track. But of course, COVID is health related. It's caused a lot of deaths in the United States, over 500,000. How has the life insurance industry sort of reacted to everything related to COVID? Do we now have special things in policies? Are they companies making differences or going through different underwriting procedures now versus what they used to in the past?
The biggest change or shift that I've noticed is the fact that some companies are considering that more in the underwriting process. If an individual was diagnosed with COVID, then that's something that they obviously view as a higher risk, and so they may decline that individual due to that. They just may want to see a time frame of them being healthy and moving beyond it to make sure it's not something that comes back and affects their health.
Right. So obviously, the important time to get life insurance is before you get sick.
Definitely before
something happens to you.
Definitely.
Once you go through COVID or once you're diagnosed with some sort of an ailment, that makes it that much more difficult for you to be able to get you might not even qualify for a policy. It's in some cases, right?
Right.
So Watson Insurance Agency. This is obviously in your name. I'm assuming you're the primary on Watson Insurance Agency.
I am.
So are we talking about? Do you represent a particular company? Do you have several different companies that you can go through?
So I have multiple brands that I work with. One of the biggest brokers that I'm associated with is WFG, World Financial Group.
Okay.
And with WFG, we have a plethora of companies that we're associated with. Everybody from Mass Mutual, New York Life, Prudential, Gerber. And so the benefit of having so many companies in my arsenal is I'm able to really tailor policies based off of what a person or family's needs are.
So there are big differences between these different companies and what they actually do. So what they have, do they have specific types of policies that they prefer to do versus others? Or are you particular to a type of client? How does that work?
So as an example, Gerber focuses on older individuals who find themselves maybe in their 70s or 80s, and for whatever reason, were not able to maintain a life insurance policy. And so that's a company that they're able to get insured and get covered, and they don't have to deal with the headache of having to go through a medical exam.
Okay.
It's automatic approval.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So automatic, so no medical underwriting.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And that's what final expense policy?
Exactly.
Can you explain a little bit about what those policies are for?
And so a final expense policy is basically a permanent policy that is designed for older individuals. It keeps them from having to deal with the stress of being declined at such a later time in their life. And so just the comfort of knowing that they can get life insurance and not have to worry about any pre-existing conditions.
That's great. I didn't even know that, I didn't really know that was available, especially when you're towards, when you're much, much older.
Yeah.
What about uses for life insurance? So you mentioned that depending on what use you want to give it. So obviously, we talked about, maybe paying off the mortgage, maybe probably so that your spouse can, continue to have that income, that you're not going to be able to provide for a certain period of time. So the permanent policies, do those have other uses other than the immediate, loss of income or, additional bills that you have? What could you use the permanent policies for other than those types of things?
So you also have policies. One product that is very beneficial is known as the Index Universal Life policy.
Okay.
And with this policy, not only do you have a life insurance policy, but you also have a savings account, so to speak, attached to it. And so what happens is, as you make payments on this policy on a monthly basis, you're growing interest annually.
Okay.
That creates a savings account for you. And these are really great policies. As an example, if you're trying to make sure that you have funds set aside for your children to go to college.
Okay.
Maybe
retirement.
Right.
Okay.
Maybe your son is good enough and he'll get a scholarship.
Maybe not.
Maybe
so.
not. Maybe not.
Wish
And,
we were also
and
lucky.
if he's not, you still prepared for him to be able to take advantage of that opportunity.
And why would you do it through a life insurance policy and not through like a savings account at the bank?
You would do it through a life insurance policy because the bank is not going to give you anywhere near the percentage.
Okay.
I think right now, if you go through the bank, it's about a half.
0.0002.
Right. Whereas
like
in life insurance, the average is 3.75% of interest.
Okay. Yeah, that's a huge problem. And what about taxes on those types of policies? Is there any kind of situation where, so you've got this account, is there a tax implication there?
So the great thing about it, of course, it's a tax shelter, so it's like once you're making payments on that monthly premium, your taxes are included. So whether you pass and your family is receiving the death benefit or whether you're taking those funds out, you're not going to be taxed at that time.
Imagine that. That's, really, in this country, that's practically impossible otherwise. So another great use for life insurance policy.
Definitely.
So you're also a member of BNI Katy, right?
I am.
How long have you been a member there?
I think it's been official for about 2 months, 3 months.
Oh, okay. So you're still
I'm
BNI,
a newbie.
You're a BNI newbie.
I am.
And so what's been your impression so far of, sort of the whole BNI infrastructure and your chapter in particular?
I love the diversity of the group, first and foremost. I think in the world of doing business and being an entrepreneur, you definitely have to understand different people. You have to understand different groups and how business is conducted and how you can serve them. And so having so many different members from different backgrounds, that's huge. That's huge with the system.
How many members in your group, in your chapter?
Right now, 17. We're still in the baby stages.
That's all right. 17's a good start.
Yeah.
Last thing, of course, if somebody here is interested in talking to you, maybe they have some referrals to give you.
Okay.
Maybe somebody right now looking and saying, you know what, I haven't taken care of my life insurance, and of course, with everything that's going on, it's now a priority. How do they get around to get in touch with you?
Well, they can reach me directly at the office landline, of course, so 713-244-6186, and that'll get them in touch with me Monday through Saturday. Also, we have www.thewatsoninsurance.com is the website.
Okay.
From that website, there's an email attached as well, so they can feel free to reach out. Of course, I'm on Facebook, the Donnie Watson Insurance Agency, and also on Instagram the Donnie Watson Agency as well.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for coming in, Donnie. We appreciate your time, and
Thank you for having me.
wish you the best in everything to come, okay?
All right.
We'll be right back with our next guest. Don't go away.
COVID-19 transformed the way we do business. Now more than ever, fast lead generation and customer retention will determine if a business survives or not. The NowMedia Video Business Card is designed to be sent using your smartphone. It's the next generation business card that will open the door for you while keeping social distancing. The NowMedia Video Business Card is affordable for anyone from startups to multinational companies and is already being used by hundreds of businesses. Stay open, stay in business. Call us today.
What is so special about sleeping? It boosts your mental health. It's critical for your immune system, weight management, and fertility, amongst other important aspects of your health. Most people do not know the average person spends a third of their life on a mattress. A hard reality is some people spend roughly 7 years of their lives tossing and turning because their mattress needs replacing, or it's just a low quality mattress, which in turn leads to multiple spine issues and other health problems. Hi, I'm John McCarty with Mattress Firm. Having the exact mattress for you is critical for your overall well-being, and my goal is to help you find the exact mattress that'll increase your quality of life and your loved ones and have a restful night's sleep. Call me at 832-815-8482. I'd love to help.
All right, so we're back. Actually, I got caught off guard. Imagine that. So my next guest, as we know, we're having an insurance explosion here on the show today. Another person also, Caitlin Pruitt, also from the Katie, although Katie Business Elite is the name of the chapter. Caitlin has a Goosehead insurance agency, so welcome on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. I'm excited to be here.
We're excited to have you. So insurance obviously being a big part of everybody's situation right now, more than ever, with the health and the life and everything else. What type of insurance do you specialize in?
So I hold the property and casualty chair in my BNI group, which is in layman's terms. We're talking life. That's Donnie. Home, auto, umbrella, flood. I can do renter's policy, motorcycle, trailers, anything with wheels. I can do it.
Okay, so anything with wheels and walls, right?
Yes.
So if you own it, you can get it insured.
Right.
All right. So obviously auto insurance is probably the most ubiquitous type of insurance.
Right.
You own a car by law, you're supposed to have it. My understanding is that although it's required by law, there's actually quite a lot of people that don't have insurance and they're driving around anyways.
That is correct. It's debatable to kind of see 1 in 3, 1 in 5 who you talk to who doesn't have insurance, especially in the Houston and the big city areas. It's crazy to think that some of these people are driving around without car insurance. Right. So it's very important to know what's on your insurance policy to make sure you're covered for those people who don't have insurance.
That was going to be my next question. So if you have somebody and they crashed into you and they come out and they're like, you know what, I don't have any insurance. What's the situation for the owner of the car that got hit?
So the best thing you can do is have uninsured, underinsured on your auto policy. So how that helps is if that person who hits you either doesn't have enough insurance or they don't carry insurance at all, you at that point don't have to file on your insurance as an at-fault accident. Okay. If you don't have that coverage on there, your insurance company will still take care of you. It just goes on your insurance record as an at-fault accident, which we want to avoid. Everybody has a credit score. You have an insurance score as well, which a lot of people don't know of. The higher liability limits you carry improves your insurance score, and then the less accidents you have on there obviously will improve your insurance score as well. So if you can keep that uninsured, underinsured on there, it helps your insurance score if you're in an accident and you are being hit by somebody who doesn't have insurance.
So your insurance score basically goes towards it determines to a certain extent what you pay every month?
Yeah, so it affects your rate, so your premiums, so to speak. So just like your credit score affects all those things, your insurance score helps determine kind of what kind of insurance rates you're going to have. The better the score, the better the rates.
That makes good sense.
Yeah.
That being said, I know there's a lot of accidents here
yes.
every day. What makes Goosehead different than, let's say, somebody else versus calling, any kind of other agency out there?
So what's really cool about Goosehead is we're the largest broker in the state of Texas, slowly climbing for the nation. We're making moves, so it's going to happen here. But the difference is, being a broker, I'm able to shop the market for you. So I have about 30 to 40 different carriers in the Texas market. Other states are different. But how I can do is I run it through our system and shop the best prices for you. So now you don't have to call Progressive or you don't have to call Allstate. I can do both of those. I
Okay.
can do Nationwide. I can do Travelers. I mean, we have so many of the top carriers, and it saves you from having to go call all the different agencies. You just call me, one-stop shop, and I'm able to help you.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. So it's a very simple,
Makes it
simple,
easy.
simple process.
Yes.
I'll switch gears a little bit to the walls, right? The homeowners insurance. Obviously, we were in Harris County. Houston, is somewhat of a complicated underwriting risk for a lot
Yes.
of carriers. How do you deal with that situation? And does a broker also, do you have the same approach for your homeowners insurance or your renters as far as a brokerage?
Yeah. So it goes same approach. I run it through exactly the same system. So you look and see, I'll look at all the top carriers in the area. The benefit also is, as a broker and as an independent agent, I'm catering to you. I want to make sure you have the coverage that you need. So I can customize to exactly what you need. I personally walk through every single one of my clients, all the coverages that I'm covering them under, optional coverages you may not know about, and really understand what's on your insurance policy. Because let's face it, most of us look at that bottom dollar number and saying, hey, that's fine, that'll work. But what happens if you have a 5% deductible and a storm hits and now you have to pay $10,000 deductible when before you could be paying $2,000, but you wanted that lower premium? So the benefit of working with me and working with Goosehead is I'm going to walk you through your policy, make sure it's customized to what you need. So that way, if something does happen, you know if you're covered, or if you don't, you can always call me and I can let you know.
Okay, and where do you? So obviously we're in Houston, but where can you write insurance policies? Are you nationwide? Is it Texas? Is it? So where are we talking about? as
Right
far
now,
as-
I'm only licensed in the state of Texas, but Goosehead as an agency, there's many agents. I work in a corporate office. The guy sitting next to me writes for Louisiana. There's somebody in the office who writes for North Carolina. So if you need a different state, I can definitely find somebody who can help you with the same exact model that I do. But right now, I'm licensed in the state of Texas.
Okay, and then the other question: say we have some neighbors from Galveston calling.
Right.
What kind of differences are they dealing with when they're talking about their homeowners insurance versus maybe somebody that's in Dallas or Austin?
So there's going to be differences all over, and your neighbor's insurance is not always going to be the same as yours, as you mentioned. Like Galveston deals with higher wind premiums, and so there are things in flood zones. I tell all my clients, if you live in Houston or the surrounding area, you live in a flood zone. It's either
Right.
moderate or high,
Yeah, yeah.
but
I think
everybody's in a flood
Harvey's
zone.
pretty much made that clear, right?
So it's good to have that and be prepared for that, but everything is different. So if you're looking at a new house or if you have questions, it's always good to ask that question up front. Hey, what's my insurance going to look like? And get in touch with an agent or a broker like myself so we can kind of prepare you for the differences in the areas.
Well, and flood. What about flood? So is flood different than the other types of insurance? And if it is, why is it different? Why do we have to have a different flood policy? Why isn't it covered by my homeowners? So you think that a lot of people think, it should be covered by my regular policy.
So flood insurance is never going to be covered by a homeowner's policy, no matter where you live, whatever state. Same as earthquakes. So like in areas that deal with earthquakes, it's not covered. So you have to have a separate policy for that. All of it is built out through different zones. If you're in an X zone, which is a non-mandatory, or there's AE zones that are mandatory, that determines the different level of price range that your flood policy is going to be. But ultimately, all the prices are set by FEMA, so it's controlled. It's not going to be like, oh, here you can get a discount from here. Any flood policy is going to be the same, just depends on what level of flood zone that you're in. But
Okay.
ultimately, everybody should have a flood policy if you live in Houston. You never know what's going to happen. Many people who flooded during Harvey and some of these other storms, even the Labor Day storm or whatever storm it was, doesn't matter what flood zone you're in, you never know what's going to happen. And it's better to pay, especially if you're in non-mandatory, that $500 a year max, $572 I think is what it is right now if you're in the highest tier, over having to replace everything in your house because of a flood.
So you mentioned FEMA, and I've had friends so I know people that have gotten, for example, payments through FEMA disaster assistance,
Right.
And others who go through FEMA because of the NFIP, the National Flood Insurance Program. Can you clarify a little bit about what that difference is?
So The difference is there's private flood carriers as well that you can get flood insurance through. There's the FEMA rates and the NFIP. So the difference is through if you have a NFIP or a FEMA backed flood policy, they are guaranteed to pay it out. Sometimes you never know how long it's going to take. It's government payments. I don't control that. But with private carriers, if there's a mass incident like Harvey and things like that, there's no guarantee that they're going to pay out that money. And those prices can fluctuate from year to year. They're private carriers.
Okay.
So I always suggest if you can get a policy, go through FEMA, go through those, so that you're guaranteed to get your money.
I got you. All right. So, Houston people, if you don't have a flood policy, you got to call Caitlin.
Yes,
I mean,
please.
and it's not very expensive either.
No,
frankly.
and truth be told, paying on insurance, I'm paid off commission. Everybody knows it. I'm a salesperson, but I make no money on flood policies.
Okay.
It's $500
Right.
for those non-standards. I don't make any commission. I worry about my clients. I don't want you to have to call me and be like, Caitlin, I wish I would have gotten that flood policy because now I'm having to do this. And then also it's good to remember, if you don't have a flood policy, there is a 30-day wait period. So if there's a storm coming, you can't just call me and say, hey, Caitlin, that storm's coming. I need it now.
Tomorrow.
It's a 30-day wait period. So don't wait. Think about it. Flood season's coming. I cannot stress it enough. It's very important for you to have a policy on there.
Yeah, I think the news was on recently. I think I don't know how many they're expecting, dozens.
It's crazy.
More than single digits hurricanes this season.
I think there was like 25 named storms last year just in the Atlantic alone. And then they're saying at least 3 to 5 this year are going to be major hurricanes that could hit on our
these
side of it.
hurricanes
So
seem to get
be
worse.
prepared. I know.
They seem to get worse. They're not getting.
It's scary stuff, and we don't want that to happen to you in your house. So
Tell us about your sales process. So, obviously, everybody needs insurance, to one extent or another. How do you go about dealing with your clients? So what's the process for you?
So it's super easy. I have the ability to, I can get you, speak to you for the very first time and get you an insurance policy bound and processed within an hour. So if you have that time, some people like to think about it so that there's pros. So very easy. Once I'm introduced to a client, we do what's called a discovery call. And I ask you some minor questions about yourself, get some information, your address, date of birth, all that good stuff. But then find out, hey, do you have a dog? Is it considered a vicious breed? Unfortunately, insurance companies are picky about things like that. But trampolines, pools, just minor underwriting questions. And then from there, I'll go through. I put it in my system. We'll pull up lists with prices on estimated pricing for your policies through, it's called a rater. So it pulls through all the different carriers that I have, and it shows me the top carriers in your area for your property or your vehicle.
Okay.
From there, I put it through. I can literally do this while you're on the phone, talking through, asking you questions, get you pricing, customize it to what you need for your family. If you need water coverages, which I suggest, or if you don't want them, high deductibles, low deductibles, whatever you are comfortable with. At that point, take payment for the auto. Home, if you put it through an escrow, we just send it over. It's super easy.
Okay.
So,
all right. Well, and what about your BNI experience? So we're coming up on the end of of our segment here, and I always like to ask about BNI and how that's impacted you and sort of your business. So I know this is a new group, right? That
yes.
You guys are. So when did it charter? Do you know how long have you guys been open?
For literally, we are about to do our kickoff next Tuesday. Is going to be our grand opening.
Oh,
so
okay.
we are brand new. Yes,
okay.
yes. So we've
Still doing training.
Yes, we're in training right now. But I can tell you, we've been trying to build this group for a few months now. Since I've been with very end of December is when I joined this group. And even before we were a group, people were already trying to help each other with referrals. I can tell you, I would not have hit my yearly goal and my December 31st at 6 p.m. I was binding a policy. I was late for my New Year's Eve party if I hadn't gotten the referral from another member of my BNI group. So I would have not hit my annual goal if that hadn't been for
Well,
it.
we love to hear that.
So, it has been nothing but positive. I would highly recommend it to anybody who's looking for a good networking group.
All right. And then the last question is, so how can they reach you? So somebody's out there, they're thinking about, maybe they're thinking about what they're paying right now, or they're not happy where they're at, or they don't like the agent. How do they reach out to you?
Please email me. You can caitlin.pruitt@goosehead.com, really easy, or you can call me 713-324-9022. I answer both of those way more than I care to admit. So at any time, if I can't answer or don't get back to you right away, I promise I will call you back or email you next day. I want to help everybody. If you think you're in a bad situation, or even if you just want to get quotes, just give me a call. I'd be happy to help.
Well, there you have it. This is our last insurance person. We have another one more guest, special guest, star guest in another industry. But stick with us, and we'll be right back. Appreciate it. Thanks, Caitlin.
Thank you so much.
COVID-19 transformed the way we do business. Now more than ever, fast lead generation and customer retention will determine if a business survives or not. The NowMedia video business card is designed to be sent using your smartphone. It's the next generation business card that will open the door for you while keeping social distancing. The NowMedia video business card is affordable for anyone from startups to multinational companies and is already being used by hundreds of businesses. Stay open, stay in business. Call us today.
As a critical aspect of your operations, you need the right technology partner to provide you and your business the peace of mind of having reliable and efficient IT systems. In addition, with cyber threats, ransomware at an all-time high, adequate, continuous, and proactive data protection for your business is an absolute must. Hi, this is Roland Parker with Impress Computer Solutions. We are experts in tailored IT solutions and professional 24/7 IT support services. We proactively monitor, maintain, manage, and protect your IT and data assets. Additionally, we have the know-how and horsepower to do the correct procuring of any and all computer systems or software your company may need. Having the correct IT infrastructure and not being able to operate safely and correctly is very expensive and can eventually destroy growth. So take a decisive step and call me today for a complimentary consultation at 281-647-9977 for your unique IT needs.
All right, welcome back. We're still here live. It's Friday the 9th, and I have got my last guest on the show here today. Please welcome Sean Lacagnina. Is that well?
Absolutely perfect, brother.
Okay, Lacagnina. You gotta put that.
My grandmother would be
Italian
very
spin
proud
on it.
of you.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thanks for coming in today.
Oh, thanks for having
Sean,
me.
we were just joking about the pandemic and how the camera is not helping us. We've put on maybe a couple of pounds. I think
Yeah,
most
you
people
guaranteed
have,
you'd
right?
make me look thin, so I'm going to trust that you're going to work some magic there.
Anchor Point Business Development, right? That's the
Yes,
name
sir.
of your company.
Absolutely.
Business coach,
Yes.
primarily. So I know that coaching. There's been it seems like there's been like a large not resurgence, but a large increase in the amount of coaching. Coaching, not only that, seems to have branched out into different types of coaching. So now you hear about life coaches a lot. You hear about business coaches. You hear about so people that specifically look for opportunities for new businesses as well. As far as helping you set up, for example, a business plan on a new venture.
Correct.
Can you explain a little bit or elaborate exactly what type of a coach you are and the services that you provide?
Sure. I think at the end of the day, Alberto, the way I look at it is I help business owners, small business owners primarily, and executives just get more done in less time.
Okay.
If you think of it that way. And you're right, there has been, I would say, a resurgence of it because I think the stigma has been removed. It used to be, especially if you're in the corporate ladder, to ask for help. Right. That was a bad thing, right? You weren't strong or however they wanted to position you, male or female. Now I think it's looked in the reverse as someone that wants to be a continual learner and improve and get better and all of those things. And that's what I strive to do, really, is help them gain a clarity on their situation, whether they're a small business owner or an executive in a large firm, to really understand where they're at and who they are, and then make that as a launching board for growth to become more effective and efficient. Out of that, they're going to grow, whether professionally as an exlective or their business as a small business owner.
So it's mainly business related, right?
Yes,
so
sir.
we're talking about let's say specific goals, where you want to be, where you're at, how you can improve the situation, whether as an owner or as an employee.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And we tie it all to, it's not, not a knock on life coaching, but we tie it to tangible results. So I don't want to just visit with you for however long, you say if you were my client, for however long and you feel real good. I want there to be results that we can say, look at what we've done. Because if we're not getting those results, I didn't do my job, and you don't need to be engaged with me.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Fantastic.
I mean, you got to make sure you're delivering the goods at the end of the day.
It's all about the growth and helping each other get better, just like BNI.
And why is it that a business coach? So how do we learn? So let's talk a little bit. Let's go a little philosophical. And I own a small business. Some of these things I've had to learn on my own through basically hard knocks, right? Making mistakes. That's how we've all sort of learned through life. What's your process, and why is there a benefit to having a different person, a different set of eyes looking in on you to help you with your business?
Well, let's deal with the small business owner, because that's really where a lot of that would come from. I find them to be kind of in two categories. Well, there's more than two, but two that I primarily work with. The first person would be, maybe they're achieving success. They're knocking out of the park, but they know there's another level they could go to if there was just someone that they could bounce things off of. Because often if you, as a small business owner, you start to feel isolated.
It's a little lonely.
Even if you have a big team, doesn't matter if you're knocking out of the park or not. If it's not, you really start to feel lonely, right? Is this just happening to me? Why me? All of those things. And then there's that other person that could still be achieving success, but they're spending way too many hours doing it. And that's starting to affect their personal life. So now we're missing family events. And at the end of the day, as we all know, that's not a good thing. So we come in and start asking questions, and I find the answers don't come from me. They come from the person, right? They've got the answer inside of them. They know instinctively what they should be doing, but that confidence to understand the material and to understand, okay, now I understand why I'm looking at this particular part of my business or this particular team and what that situation is. Or maybe it's with their marketing. There's a lot of different facets. That helps them become, that's that clarity that I'm talking about, that allows them to really become more effective and more efficient in what they're doing. And once they're more effective and efficient, as in any organization, it starts with the leader. If the leader is setting the pace and the culture for the organization, everyone is going to follow that. So as the leader gains more confidence, they become more effective and efficient. That starts to spread through the entire organization. And in a relatively short period of time, we really start to see the growth and all those levers start to click.
And how do you go about bringing on a new client? So what's the process? Let's say, well, first let's talk about what type of a referral is ideal for you. I think you've already said it, but let's just double down on that.
Absolutely.
So, small business owner, number one.
Small business owner would be primary, absolutely. And then on the other side, that executive, and there's a lot of large organizations that I don't want to say demand, but would really like people to have a coach inside of their company that's on the outside to help them grow. A lot of, especially the faster growing executive type, they like to have that outside influence that's forcing them to have that continual education, that personal growth, and they find that helps their organization a lot better. And it's a lot less expensive than trying to do it inside, right?
Yeah.
So,
if you're at a certain level, you want to keep that job, obviously, especially if it has a nice pay, nice benefits, and the only way to keep it, especially nowadays with so much competition out there, we're dealing with a lot more competition. There's a lot more people looking for jobs, a lot more people that are qualified for great jobs because they found themselves, unemployed right now, right? I mean, the pandemic really has changed the whole scenario as far as the job market's concerned. So
yeah, it's affected everyone. And I keep telling even the sales teams that I lead that we really have to look at people now and understand that with everything that's going on, the pandemic included. But if it's not the pandemic, it's politics. If it's not politics, it's the economy. It's not the economy, it's your personal economy. Then add all your personal life into it. Everybody, there's enough to go around. Everybody has something going on.
We all have the things. We all deal with our
and
own
if you would just address
issues.
that and understand that before you come at them with your business problem or solution, we missed that. And I think the pandemic has kind of caused us to reflect on that a little bit, especially all this virtual stuff. I was with a client the other day and they were commenting that the big aha moment for me was I missed the walk back from lunch to the office and that conversation that happens. We miss that online. If it's a Zoom meeting or whatever, we don't do that. Usually we're online. Hey, well, I'm glad and we go for it. And we do miss that. The water cooler moments is
Oh,
is a
no
way
doubt.
to
I
look
mean,
at
I
it.
don't know if you're chapter. I mean, you're part of BNI Galleria.
I am,
I want to
absolutely.
say that BNI Galleria has been around for a long time.
Yep.
How long have you been a
I'm
member?
fairly new. I'm in my first month still.
Okay.
And
Well-
I never thought I would join an organization like BNI, to be perfectly frank.
Well, and what are your thoughts as a business coach, somebody that basically evaluates, all sorts of organizations? What have been your initial impressions?
I've been
of
very
BNI?
impressed, especially with this group, and that's why I joined. I found them to be very engaging and inviting, which is huge in any relationship.
And
If
you're doing this over Zoom, right?
We're doing it over Zoom. I haven't met these people in person yet, which is really a different way of doing things. But they were inviting and engaging, and I felt as if they actually cared that I was visiting. That's huge. I think oftentimes, and I did visit, I'm not going to mention the clubs, I did visit some other clubs and did not get that feeling at all. It was almost like I was kind of looking in. This group really made me feel as part of the group and as if they wanted me there. And I thoroughly enjoyed that. And they, beyond the business that we're there to help each other grow, they care about each other personally and helping them have a well-rounded, view of things. I thought it was huge.
Yeah, I know one or two people that have been a member in that group years ago, and so I know that they're one of the, let's say, bastion groups in
That's cool.
in BNI. So you're part of a great group.
Oh, well, thank you.
How do you go about bringing on a client? So if somebody's interested, maybe they're thinking, maybe I should give this guy a call. What is the process? Do they, they have to pay something up front? Do you go and do a consultation before? Is that a half an hour? Is that over the phone, in person? How do you go about onboarding a potential client?
Absolutely. First of all, it's a no pressure situation. So you're not going to get, even though I'm a salesman through and through, there's no sales pitch. Business coaching or executive coaching, anything that I would do is not something I can sell. It has to be something you really want to participate in. So I want to ease anyone that wants to visit with me. It's not a high pressure deal. We'd have probably a 20-minute conversation at first just to see if it makes sense for us to work together.
Okay.
Are we a fit? And
Right.
it's a real casual.
It could be chemistry, maybe.
And it's absolutely, it's on the phone, not even video, just on the phone, so we can feel very comfortable asking each other questions. And then from there, if it does make sense, and my client would make that decision, does it make sense for us to continue talking? We go into a longer conversation, a little deeper dive into what's happening in their business, and see if working with me would make sense for them to get beyond whatever hurdle they're